to his friend, whom he claims was an expert, but they were just liars. The land they bought was not cleared with the land institutions. No surveyors. It doesn't even have papers. Moreover, it's too small.
Money Evening News. Money Evening News.
In your financial indicators today, Thursday, 27th October 2022, the United States dollar is buying at 15 kwacha 89 ngwe and selling at 16 kwacha 20 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 18 kwacha 20 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 56 ngwe. The Euro is buying at 15 kwacha 83 ngwe and selling at 16 kwacha 14 ngwe. The South African Rand is buying at 87 ngwe and selling at 89 ngwe. Those are your financial indicators. The news headlines. Drug Enforcement Commission arrests LUSAKA businessman for money laundering activities involving over 2 million kwacha.
A businessman for monitoring activities involving over 2 million kwacha.
Zambia Statistics Agency reviews the country recorded trade surplus of 1.1 billion kwacha in September 2022.
The trade balance is 1 billion from 2.2 billion in September, and this was largely as a result of exports, which
Department of Mineral Resources and Energy says supply chain of petroleum products to South Africa is resilient as ever. Netball Zambia treasurer appointed on the African Union Sports Council Region 5 Advisory Board. Hello and welcome to the Money Evening News on Money FM. I am Best Jerry. Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, through its Anti-Money Laundering Investigations Unit, has arrested a LUSAKA businessman for money laundering activities involving over 2 million kwacha. DEC Public Relations Officer Hussein Khan tells Money FM News that the commission has formally charged and arrested Mpundu Chanda, aged 37 years, of Ibex Menewood for forgery, contrary to laws of Zambia. Mr. Khan says details of the matter are that Mpundu Chanda jointly and whilst acting together with other persons unknown on dates unknown, but between 1st January 2022 and 20th June 2022, did forge a national registration card, NRC, which he uttered at a named commercial bank and opened a bank account. He states that Mr. Chanda further laundered 2,062,550 kwacha and acquired 2 motor vehicles which were later disposed of to a named person by falsifying documents. According to Drug Enforcement Commission, the suspect is currently on bond and will appear in court soon.
Money Laundering Investigations Unit has arrested the LUSAKA businessman for money laundering activities involving over 2 million kwacha. The commission has formally charged and arrested Mpundu Chanda, 837 years, of plot number 1021 Ibex Menewood, for forgery contrary to section 342 of the Penal Code, chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia, uttering false documents contrary to section 352 of the Penal Code, chapter 87 of the laws of Zambia, falsification of documents contrary to Section 10 of the Prohibition and Prevention of Money Laundering Act number 14 of 2001, as amended by Act number 44 of 2010, and money laundering contrary to Section 7 of the Prohibition and Prevention of Money Laundering Act number 14 of 2001, as amended by Act number 44 of 2010. Details of the matter that Mpundu Chanda, jointly and whilst acting together with other persons, are known.
Meanwhile, Mr. Khan has revealed that the commission in Eastern Province has jointly charged and arrested two females named Julia Ngulube, aged 37 years, and Helen Manda, aged 42 years, both of Zingalume compound in Lusaka, for trafficking in psychotropic substances contrary to laws of Zambia. The World Bank has approved 275 million United States dollar concessional financing for Zambia following government's continued engagement with development partners targeted at securing support for fiscal stabilization and accelerated economic growth programs. Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, in a statement says the financing will be disbursed in two tranches, indicating that the first tranche of 175 million United States dollars in support of completed reforms will be available immediately after signing the financing agreements and fulfillment of withdrawal formalities. Dr. Msokotwane notes the second tranche of 100 million United States dollars will be disbursed in the next 3 months to allow government additional time to complete key components of the reform program. According to the Ministry of Finance and National Planning, the approval was granted through the World Bank's International Development Association, IDA, at a meeting of the board held on Tuesday, 25th October 2022. We take a short break. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
For business on the go, visit www.moneyfmzambia.com to watch, stream, and download various programs from anywhere in the world.
Zambia Statistics Agency, ZAMSTATS, has revealed that the country recorded a trade surplus of 1.1 billion kwacha in September 2022, compared to a surplus of 3.2 billion kwacha in August 2022. ZAMSTATS interim statistician General Mulenga Msepa notes exports, mainly comprising domestically produced goods, decreased by 6.8% to 14.2 billion kwacha, from 15.3 billion kwacha, mainly on account of decreases in export earnings from intermediate goods and capital goods by 9.8% and 12.4%. Mr. Msepa notes imports increased by 9.1% to 13.1 billion kwacha in September 2022 from 12 billion kwacha, mainly as a result of increases in import bills of consumer goods, raw materials, and intermediate goods by 41.2%, 17.7%, and 1.3%.
From 3.2 billion in September, and this was largely as a result of exports, which declined by 6.8%, while imports increased by 9.1%. Let's go to the next slide. So basically, in terms of exports, I've just said this dropped by 6.8%, and these are driven by falling both components of the total exports, which is some exports, mainly copper, which declined by 6.8% in September, and NTs also declined by 8.2% during the same month of 2022. Go to the next slide. Bullion gold exports have been trying to practice this also.
This is Money Evening News at 17:30. Ministry of Energy says government believes stakeholders are the highest organ in process of constituting the cost of service study (COSS) results. Speaking during a public meeting on the electricity cost of service study in Lusaka, Ministry Permanent Secretary Francisca Ziambo notes that the cost of service study process has been made possible through contributions from various stakeholders, urging them to continue doing so until the results are successfully implemented. Mrs. Ziambo says that today's public meeting was held to present government's position on the results of the COSS. She was speaking in a speech read on her behalf by Ministry of Energy Director for Planning, Mwape Chipala.
To this meeting. I want to express my gratitude to you for responding affirmatively to our invitation. The government works for the people, and it is your wishes and aspirations that shape the nature of documents that we normally develop. And this is a testimony of the document that we present today. I believe stakeholders are the highest organ in the whole process when it comes to the process of study results. And I want to recognize the patience and support that all of you have rendered throughout this study. The progress recorded thus far has been made possible obviously courtesy of your contributions as stakeholders. It is my wish and prayer that you may continue to make.
And Energy Regulation Board ERB Director General Yohane Mukabe, in a presentation made on his behalf, says the study projected that for generation, transmission, and distribution, there is need of up to 14 billion United States dollars as a requirement for investment between 2020 and 2040.
Anticipated up to 2040. The study projected that for generation, transmission, and distribution, we need up to $14 billion to propose a basket of projects that will be selected optimally, and these are the projects that will sit on this expansion path and will support the forecast that we have seen. So $14 billion was estimated as the requirement for investment. Generation about $9 billion, transmission will require about $2.6 billion, and distribution will require about $1.9 billion. This is between 2020 and 2040 to support that growth in the forecast. Next.
Still to come is international and sports news. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You are still listening to Money Evening News and now international news. The Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, DMRE, says the supply chain of petroleum products to South Africa is resilient as ever. SA News reports this follows comments made by the Liquid Fuel Wholesale Association that the country is facing possible liquid fuel supply shortages. The DMRE explains that the South African government has invested in fuel import for years, which contributes to fuel supply security. For more such stories, join us for Africa Business Report at 0845 weekdays. The European Central Bank has announced a 75 basis point interest rate hike, its third consecutive increase this year, while also revealing new conditions for European banks. CNBC reports market participants had two key questions ahead of the meeting. When will the ECB start reducing its balance sheet in a process known as quantitative tightening, and what will happen to the lending conditions for banks in the near future? Regarding the latter, the ECB announced that it is changing the terms and conditions of its targeted longer-term refinancing operations, or TLTROs. These are a tool that provides European banks with attractive borrowing conditions designed to incentivize lending to the real economy, according to CNBC. For more of such stories, join us for Global Business Report at 17:50 weekdays. This is the Money Evening News at 17:30.
Money Sports News. Money Sports News.
In sports news, Netball Zambia treasurer has been appointed as a member of the African Union Sports Council AUSC Region 5 Advisory Board on the Budget, Finance, Risk and Legal Commission, according to a letter addressed to Edwin Kankutula and signed by Chief Executive Officer Stanley Mutoya. The appointment is in line with the organizational re-engineering model that was approved by Council of Ministers on December 2nd, 2020, and in accordance with Article 24 of the Region 5 Constitution approved by Council of Ministers on January 19, 2022. AUSC says Kankutula's orientation session for his commission will be conducted in Lilongwe, Malawi on 16th November 2022 to facilitate the ease of doing business and discharge of his duties. African Union Region 5 Youth Games will take place in Malawi from December 2nd to 11, 2022. Napoli heaped yet more misery on Rangers' luckless European campaign on Wednesday night as Giovanni Simeone's double and a late Leo Ostigard header secured a convincing 3-0 victory in the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona. Sky News reports Napoli boss Luciano Spalletti was adamant there was no chance of his side underestimating Rangers pre-match in spite of a 7-1 defeat by Liverpool in their last group outing, but their ruthless performance told a different story. Simeone's quick-fire double had Napoli cruising before Ostigard powered by a header beyond a helpless Alan McGregor from a pinpoint Giacomo Raspadori corner late on. As we end the news, we look at the headlines once again. News headlines. Drug Enforcement Commission arrests a LUSAKA businessman for money laundering activities involving over 2 million kwacha.
Louis Anti-Money Laundering Investigations Unit has arrested the LUSAKA businessman for money laundering activities involving over 2 million kwacha.
Zambia Statistics Agency reviews the country recorded a trade surplus of 1.1 billion kwacha in September 2022.
1 billion from 2.2 billion September, and this is largely as a result of exports which
Department of Mineral Resources and Energy says supply chain of petroleum products to South Africa is resilient as ever. Netball Zambia treasurer appointed on the African Union Sports Council Region 5 Advisory Board. For these stories and more, be sure to visit our website on www.moneyfmzambia.com. Follow us on Facebook, Money FM Zambia, on Twitter and Instagram, Money FM Zambia. You can also download our Money FM app from App Store and Google Play Store. And for marketing, contact us on +260 967 865040 or 0211 252237. Thank you for listening to Money Evening News. I am Best Jerry. Good evening. This is Money FM. European Central Bank raises rates by 3/4 of a point and promises more to come. United States economy bounces back from recession territory even as the storm continues to brew. Oil rises on strong crude demand despite China fears. It is 18 hours Central African time. And a warm welcome to Global Business Report, Thursday edition with me, Best Jerry. The European Central Bank has hiked interest rates by 3/4 of a percentage point, promising further hikes to come and forecasting an extended economic slowdown. CNN reports the move will take the benchmark rate for the 19 countries using the euro to 1.5%. The central bank has now hiked rates at 3 consecutive meetings by a combined 2 percentage points in a bid to get control of inflation, even as the recession looms. According to CNN, before the hiking cycle began, rates in the region had been negative since 2014. Samsung Electronics de facto leader J.Y. Lee has been named executive chairman, a symbolic move confirming that South Korea's most valuable company will be officially run by the third generation of its founding family. Al Jazeera reports the announcement reflects a role that Lee, 54, has held since his father, the late patriarch and Samsung Group chairman Lee Kun-hee, was hospitalized in 2014. Analysts say the elder Lee died in 2020. Lee has been the vice chairman of Samsung Electronics, the crown jewel of South Korea's biggest business conglomerate, since 2012. Gross domestic product in the United States bounced back in the third quarter, reversing a trend over the first 6 months that suggested the country was heading for a recession. Sky News reports the country's GDP increased by 2.6% between July and September of this year, beating experts' forecast and reversing a steep decline of 0.6% in the previous quarter. Much of the growth in the third quarter can be attributed to an increase in United States exports and a decrease in imports. We take a break. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Oil has risen, extending a rally of nearly 3% in the previous session as optimism over record United States crude exports and signs that recession fears are abating outweigh concern over slack demand in China. CNBC reports figures on Wednesday showed record U.S. crude exports, a helpful sign for demand even as crude stock rose. The United States dollar weakened in early trade on hope that interest rate hikes may become less aggressive, according to CNBC. Brent crude rose 97 cents or 1.01% to $96.66 a barrel. United States West Texas Intermediate WTI crude gained 1.28% or 1.46% to $89.19. Shares in Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, have plunged more than 20% after a downbeat set of results from the tech giant. BBC reports it comes as investor doubts about Mark Zuckerberg's visions for the future grow and revenues and profits decline. Meta sales shrunk by 4% in the 3 months of ending in September to $2.7 billion, while profits halved. According to BBC, the fall in shares is set to wipe $78 billion of the firm's market value if the losses hold until the end of today. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to join us on Friday for another Global Business Report. This has been Best Jerry. Stay tuned. Thank you so much all for listening in. Have a blessed evening. Remember to subscribe and leave your comments there. Yeah, like subscribe there. God bless you.